Hi, Matt Cave here, and today's video is a day in the life of a property manager. So you're going to come along with me. We're going to visit the office. We'll hit a couple of properties, and you're going to see what it's like as a property manager here in the Hudson Valley. So the first thing I do in the morning is I come into the office here and I'll usually shoot a video or two so you can kind of see the setup behind me. This is where we'll come in, record the videos. I like to get this done first thing in the morning so I've got the time later on in the day to do editing and put everything all together. So after I shoot videos, I usually try to get some administrative stuff done. So we've got some emails we need to return, phone calls and voicemails that need to be returned. So I try to get that stuff done before the office opens. We open at 9 o'clock and usually the phone starts ringing and it gets really busy. So I try to get this stuff out of the way early on in the morning before the phones start, because later on I usually have to get out into the field and get some things taken care of out there. So I've got a couple different meetings scheduled on Fridays at 10 a.m. We typically do our office meeting. So I'll meet with staff. We'll kind of go over things that need to be done for today before we get to the weekend. And then afterwards, I have a mastermind group that I belong to. So it's myself and a couple other property management company owners, and we meet up and talk about, all things property management, how our week has gone, best practices, some wins, things that we want to get done in the upcoming week. So that typically takes, with the meetings, it's a couple of hours. So that's all right here in the office, right on Zoom. All right, so now we've tackled all the administrative stuff, got the meetings out of the way. Let's get out into the field so you can see what happens at the actual properties. All right, so I just finished up at the office. Everything went well, got all the administrative stuff done. Had my mastermind group. It was really great. We actually have a couple new people in there, so that was great. And now we're gonna head out to property. So got to make a quick stop and then we'll head over to the first property. So we've arrived here in Highland, New York. Today I'm going to show you this beautiful home. This is a home the tenants just vacated, and we're going to do a move-in inspection. We're going to check it out, make sure that everything's okay with the property. We're going to get some marketing photos and do a video walkthrough, a virtual tour. But I just wanted to show you, we got a beautiful day here in Highland, New York. But as you can see, this one sits right on the river. So this is going to be a perfect property to do that virtual tour, and you'll be able to see views. You can see the nice sweeping views of the Hudson River here. You can actually see the Culinary Institute of America right across the river. So this is a great one to check out. All right, so we just got inside here. At first glance, everything appears to be okay. We're gonna do a thorough walkthrough and just check everything, but I did notice that the power's off. Hopefully it's just a breaker off. One of the things that we do is when we get notice that a tenant's gonna be moving out, we will contact Central Hudson, our local utility company, and just let them know we need to have it switched over to our name so that there's no downtime, so we're not in the dark here. Hopefully that transfer went through. Luckily, we're outside of the winter time, so we don't have to worry about the heat being on and the property freezing. But we do need to have the lights on so we can get the cleaning crew in here. We can do marketing photos and things like that, and we want to have light for our property tours. So we're going to go downstairs and check the breakers, make sure that the power's on, and then we can do our move-in inspection. All right, so it looks like the power is still off at this property, which happens sometimes. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to complete everything. Usually, we like to have all the lights on and just have the place nice and bright for marketing photos and doing the video walkthrough. I'm going to see what we can capture here at this property without having any lights on. It is a nice bright day. There's lots of windows. So hopefully we can get a few marketing photos. We do still have some left over from the last time we marketed the property as well. So hopefully we can utilize those, but unfortunately there's no power on. This happens. We did reach out to the utility company, but apparently it was not transferred over. So we're going to see what we can do with no power here. So in addition to taking marketing photos and checking on the move out condition, there's a few things that we're doing at the property at this time. So number one, we're checking safety items. So I'm going to go and make sure that there's proper smoke detectors in each bedroom and everywhere that they need to be. Make sure that we have carbon monoxide alarms and all the fire safety things. We're also going to be checking to make sure that all the doors are secure, that the windows are locked, just so that the property is secure. Now that there's nobody living here, we just have to keep an eye on it and make sure that everything is locked up tight. And then finally, during the winter months, we're checking to make sure that the heat is on, the power's on, make sure that the thermostat is set to a low enough temperature where the heat will continue to kick on, but we don't want it set too high where it's going to be wasting fuel. We luckily are outside the heating season right now here, but that's part of the checks that we do when we're visiting our vacant properties and doing the move out inspections during the winter months. So I was able to do the move out inspection. Luckily, everything in this property was in good shape. They got everything out, cleaned the property up. So just needs a couple little touch-ups here and there. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get a lot of good marketing photos just because there's not enough light here. But again, these things happen. Sometimes there's little hiccups there, but we did get enough that we're going to be able to get it on the market. We're going to reach out to the utility company, see when the power will be back on, and I'll come back in and do the video tour. But yeah, unfortunately, these things happen. At least we're able to get enough photos that we can start the marketing, but we will have to come back to get the video later on. And so the last thing that we're going to be doing at this property is putting a lockbox on. So we're using an electronic lockbox on this particular property. The nice thing is that we're able to do temporary codes so we can give someone access for a short period of time. So this is used for showings, upcoming showings, and we can also use it for our vendors to get access. If we need to get anybody in here to do any cleaning or painting or repairs at the property, they can use the lockbox. All right, so now that we're done here, we're gonna head over to the next property. We'll probably stop for lunch, grab something to eat, and then we'll go to the next property. The next property is vacant. It's already on the market, so we don't have to grab any photos or anything, but we will be checking on it. We do have to check regularly in between showings just to make sure everything's okay. So we'll grab some lunch and then we'll head on over to the next property. So there's something that I forgot to mention while I was at this property. We're in a little bit of a transition period here where we're coming out of winter and getting into spring. So there's not really much need for keeping the heat on and worrying about heat. But normally we would check to make sure that the heat is on, make sure that there's fuel. A lot of our properties have fuel oil or propane. So we just want to make sure that there's enough fuel at the property. But in the spring and summer seasons, we're also checking the landscaping to see if there's any landscaping that needs to be done. I can see here we're going to start to mow pretty soon, probably within the next week or two. So we're going to want to get in touch with the landscapers to get that all set up so it can be maintained while we're in this vacancy period. And then also some properties might require some landscaping, so might need some mulch freshened up or some things taken care of in the garden beds. So that's another thing that we're looking at while we're here at the property. So we ran into another snafu. We were going to head over to a condo that I have in Wappingers. This is a vacant home. We're going to go check on it and just see how the guys are making out. We unfortunately had a backup in there. So yesterday we got the plumber out. He was able to get the line cleared out to stop the backup. But we had the restoration company in there today, and they're doing an ozone treatment, which if you're not familiar with that, the ozone kind of gets rid of the odor in the property, but unfortunately you can't go in while they're running the ozone machine. So not able to show you that property, but we are going to pivot and head to a different place. This is actually a good representation of a typical day. You know, sometimes you get a call and you just have to pivot and go do something else. So we're going to head over to a different property, so I'll see you over there. All right, so it's early afternoon, about 2:20, and we're headed over to a property in Rhinebeck. So this particular property, we're going to check on another vacant home. This is not a rental property. This is actually a corporate-owned property. So we do have a contract with a large corporation, and we manage their homes. If you're not aware, we do sell properties as well. We're a real estate brokerage. And so these properties are typically vacant. We usually help them in some of the management functions, so keeping up on the utilities and making sure the properties are maintained. So that's part of our responsibility. We also do some renovations and repairs at the properties, and then we help them get the properties sold. So we do need to check on them weekly. So this one we're going to head up to now. We're going to take a look at it. I'll show you how we do our weekly inspections, and we'll take a look inside. So we're here in Rhinebeck, New York, and I am going to show you this very cool, unique two-bedroom house. Now, this is a historic home. It's very unique, very charming, lots of original details. So let's head on inside and take a look. All right, so for these inspections, we use a software to do the photos, which is really cool. It stores all the photos right in the cloud. So usually what we'll do is we'll walk through and do a quick photo shoot. So normally I'll stand back in the corner here, grab a photo, grab one from this angle, and then we'll move over to the opposite direction and grab some photos this way. So usually grab a photo in each room. In this property, we're going to be checking to make sure that everything's secured, all the windows are closed, there's no issues. If it's winter time, we're going to make sure that the heat is on, if that's applicable. Sometimes the properties are winterized, so we don't really have to worry about freezing. But yeah, it's just a quick check on the property just to make sure that everything's okay. This one's really cool. It's a very unique historic home. Lots of original charm. There's, cool wallpaper in here. Lots of original details and wood trim and things like that. But this is one. It's not a rental home. This is actually one that we are just going to manage until it's ready to be put on the market, and then we're going to help sell the property. So we just do these regular checks just to make sure that everything is okay with the property. Make sure it's secure, heat's on, utilities are on, no leaks, make sure there's no issues at the property. All right, so everything is good here. We did a quick check on the outside. Everything's okay, no major issues. So we're gonna head on to the next property. We're gonna head up to Tivoli next, getting a little late in the afternoon here. I think we can hit one more property, and then we'll call it a wrap for the day. All right, so this one's a little bit unique. This is a property that we've rented. It's just in between residents right now, so it's going to be vacant for a little bit here. So we're just going to check on this one, make sure everything is okay and secure on the inside, and then we'll head out. So that's it. As you can see, there's really not a lot to it. It's really just making sure that we're checking on the properties, make sure everything's okay, make sure it's secure and utilities are on if they need to be. This property is looking good, so we're gonna head out from here. But again, this is really just a quick check on the property. Everything's looking great. All right, so everything was good at this property. So we're all done with our check, and I'm gonna wrap this video. Next, I'm gonna head back to the office and handle some administrative stuff. So I don't think it's anything that you'd be interested in seeing. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap the video. I hope that you enjoyed. This was a little bit different format than we normally do. I got you guys out in the field to kind of see what we do when we're checking on properties and what we do back at the office. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more of this. If you'd like to do property tours and ride along with me, I'd be happy to make more videos like this. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next video.